emphasize the strengths of this institution and how important we are to this region. We are the centerpiece of the South Bay, and it's really important for us to recognize and acknowledge that our graduates add credibility to this institution. The more successful our alumni are, the more powerful your degree is. So as we think about 10 years from now, you add those 35,000 to the 95,000 alumni that we already have from Dominguez Hills, that's a pretty powerful statement.
DH and LA are the only two campuses who do not offer a meal plan, and 1 out of 4 students go hungry.
I remember asking that question to myself, like, why don't we? Not only is there not a meal plan, the union closes, and you can't just walk to a local establishment and grab some fruit. So there is really, we've created a real food desert down there, and Bob and I have been in conversations about how to mitigate that immediately and then have some long-term plans underway. But I don't know why it happened like that, and I'm real concerned because I know that
we do not have what I would describe as that kind of all-you-can-eat opportunity that you traditionally would find with dining services. There is literally inadequate financial resources to do it.
if someone is both food insecure and shelter insecure, that lines up with a number of other issues that may be going on in their lives and the lives of their family. We want to expose and get them connected to resources that can help them short-term and long-term.
And we're looking at the feasibility then of building out the ability with different serving stations that you'd see at some other institutions. You know, what good is dining service if you're closed on Sunday? You know, so we've got to figure out operating hours and how it all work, but I can tell you there won't be 500 new beds here without a dining operation that allows those students to have access to food 7 days a week.
We're looking at food pantries and food insecurity, trying to figure out ways to get CalFresh and our food service, food stamp process on campus. And Pearl Links has a link on there, so if you've seen events or you want to filter for events that have free food, you can go ahead and search for which events you might want to attend. We're trying to develop an app to let people know when there's food left over from our free food event. We're also trying to identify places where people can live.
Many former foster care youths have housing issues over the summer. What is Dominguez Hills doing or can do to help this population?
With our university housing, so that housing can happen over the summer for many of those students. And if someone is in a situation where they do not have summer housing, then we've worked it so that it can happen. We're working very hard to build one of the best Guardian Scholars programs in the region, and that takes resources and it takes time, but we're not allowing those to be impediments. We want to ensure that students who are former foster youth, who've been in the system, you cannot expect them to come with all the resources to know how to navigate this place. And housing in the summer, and housing during Christmas, and housing during all those other areas, those are really important times for Guardian Scholars or for our foster youth. And so we need to know that we're trying to make this a priority for those students.
Thanks, Dr. Frank. What is the future of the Women's Resource Center, and how can we better utilize the resource?
I think you all know that we lost the director of the Women's Resource Center. We're looking forward in the fall to potentially launching a search for the director of the Women's Resource Center. Right now we're in the process with someone who's coordinating it, and we're looking at having more faculty fellows work with us. But the Women's Resource Center right now, unless someone can tell me differently, is on solid footing. We're just in that transition period, and we're going to work through the transition period and make it stronger, make it better. I think there's some upcoming information that you can go on their website to find out. But right now we're looking forward to getting through the transition and getting the Women's Center back with a director and moving on some of the programs and services and some of the initiatives they launched under the last director.
Now that the CFA strike has been averted, the faculty wage raise will be coming from the DH budget. The student says, I want to make sure this will not be coming from students' department funding. Please promise that it will not negatively and inadvertently affect students.
I can't promise. There are some efforts on the part of both the CFA and the CSU to try to obtain additional funding from Sacramento. to address some of these associated expenses, but I think inevitably some of that settlement will fall upon additional expenses for the university.